Virginity, everyone's least favorite term when it comes to sex, because everyone just wants to lose their virginity as fast as they possibly can. It's embarrassing if you are still a virgin and you're past the age of 12 these days, it seems. Apparently these days you're trying to lose your virginity from the moment you hit puberty to until you actually lose it, and then it's like mission accomplished. My life is now complete and I can die now knowing that I have experienced the wonders of sex. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case, and it shouldn't be something that you are rushing to get rid of and lose and, just freaking destroy and give away your virginity like it's nothing, like it means absolutely nothing at all, and it's just this thing that you want to get rid of. Now, before I get into why virginity shouldn't just be a trivial thing that you just get rid of at any moment if you can, I'd like to take a virginity from you right now, which is your clicking the subscribe button. Unless you've already subscribed, then you've lost your subscription virginity, and that's cool. But go ahead and subscribe. In all seriousness, I'm doing daily content. It helps me out, helps me promote my message to more and more people. I think it's a positive message that people need to hear about sex and sex advice and kind of the psychology and the philosophy regarding sex and sexual prowess and quality. So, back to virginity. This doesn't come from a religious standpoint, and I know there is a lot of kind of religious pressure when it comes to sex and sex advice and all that kind of stuff. This is not coming from that place at all. This is coming from a place of personal health, psychology, and personal development. There is no reason to be embarrassed about being a virgin past a certain age, or even later in life, or waiting until marriage. Whatever you decide, that is right for you, and there's nothing embarrassing about it. Honestly, it's almost more embarrassing, in my opinion, to just go out of your way to lose your virginity with someone you don't care about and kind of reduce sex into this experience that is superficial, and just to remove a title that is completely arbitrary and means nothing. It says nothing about you other than the fact that you haven't had sex. So it has no bearing on if you're a good person or a bad person or a loser or anything like that. So when it comes to virginity and losing your virginity, there is no rush. And honestly, you should wait for the appropriate time and the appropriate partner to experience that with. So why do I have this opinion on virginity and waiting to have sex with someone you care about and trust and have gotten to know, and are not just willy-nilly throwing your sex out to anyone that will take it so that you can finally call yourself a non-virgin, or whatever the term is for someone that has lost their virginity? So sex is very psychologically important to us. No matter how much you try to divorce sex from the psychological and emotional connectedness that it creates, it is still going to be there. And I know a lot of people these days, with the hookup culture that exists and the promiscuity that exists in modern day, they want to have sex with however many people they want, and they're trying to divorce the emotional connection and the psychological factors from sex so that it will kind of be a guilt-free experience, because casual sex is all the rage and it's the best way to have sex. Apparently that is what society is telling you. I am telling you that it is not. Because sex has this strong psychological component built into it that is determining quality, that is creating an emotional connection with someone, your body is literally releasing hormones that are connecting you to another person when you have sex. Oxytocin is released whenever you have sex with someone, which is connecting you and bonding you to that person. It is a hormone that basically is responsible for love and compassion and so many other things. So to ignore that and kind of fight against your biology, your natural psychological response to sex, which is to connect you to someone, you're just kind of throwing that to the wayside to have this experience just to lose your virginity. So unfortunately, sex is always going to have that emotional component to it. And the more you try to hide it and fight it, the more emotional damage you are actually doing to yourself. So this is not just about a religious stance or a philosophical stance. This is actual psychology of sex. Sex has an emotional component that you cannot get rid of. It's always going to be there because of the hormonal response, because of the psychological driving factors that are so crucial and ingrained in sex. If you're going out of your way to have sex with someone you don't care about just to kind of arbitrarily lose this title of virginity, then you are divorcing sex, your very first sexual experience, might I add. You're divorcing the emotional, the psychological component to that sex, which is not healthy. And it leads to pretty bad sexual behaviors in the long run, where you are emphasizing physical stimulation, emphasizing conquest of just getting as many sexual partners as you can, as opposed to having great sexual experiences and providing great sexual experiences to your prospective partners that you care about, that you have bonded with, that you are really experiencing the entire range of emotion and psychological components that sex provides and always will provide. There's only so many times that your body can handle just making sex this thing that doesn't mean anything. To your biology, it does mean something. But to your mind, you can kind of convince yourself that, no, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a pleasurable experience that I'm just going to have fun and just do it. Unfortunately, then you are creating a discrepancy between your biology, your psychology, and then your perception of these events. And that cognitive dissonance is not healthy, and it is not good for you in the long run. It happens to so many people. It happens to porn actors and actresses when they have kind of divorced this idea of emotional connection and psychology from sex. It really affects them deeply. There have been so many reports of porn stars that resort to drugs, and they resort to alcohol and other things, even suicide, because it has caused so much emotional damage to kind of just think of sex in this trivial way where it's just this pastime. When you're bored, you just have this experience with someone where you're just banging and it feels good and whatever, and it's just, it doesn't go anything beyond that, and you can just do it with some stranger that you've never met before, and there is no impact to that whatsoever at all, no consequences. Unfortunately, your actions do have consequences. You cannot divorce sex from its emotional bonding component. That is actually a good thing, because that emotional bonding component actually makes sexual experiences so much better when you are with someone that you actually love, cherish, and can emotionally connect with. So don't remove that aspect from sex. Embrace the emotional connection, and you're actually going to strengthen the bond between you and your partner, which is going to strengthen the sexual quality. Strengthen the sexual quality, I guess improve the sexual quality would be the better way to describe that. But you get the point. Do not try to parse out these pieces of sex that maybe you don't want because it's not convenient for you in the moment. Sex is this emotionally charged, psychologically driven experience that is also physically driven, of course. Sex cannot happen without the physical stimulation. So, of course, that is necessary. But the psychological aspects and components of it are so much more important in determining quality, and they're so much more important in determining your psychology and your psychological health. So stop trying to rush into losing virginity when you don't have to. It says nothing about who you are. It is an arbitrary term that just means you haven't had sex yet, and it's really meaningless. If I could go back, I would much rather have waited and had sex with someone that I truly cared about and had this great first experience where I'm in the moment and expressive and feeling sex for all of its amazing components, rather than just this physical act where I'm just trying to lose my virginity with someone that I don't really care about that much. It's just that they will have sex with me, so alright, I'll do it just because I want to lose my virginity and experience what sex has to offer, when if you do that, you are actually not experiencing all that sex has to offer, and it's just setting you up for this psychological damage in the future if you keep acting that way and trying to change sex into something that it is not. So, if you like this message and you agree with me, give me a like, leave me a comment. If you want to argue with me, leave me a comment as well, and I will be down there answering as many as I can and giving you guys the best insight that I possibly can. Like I said, my background in sex is more of a psychological and philosophical background. That is what I want to focus on when I'm giving sex advice, and I want to help you guys kind of get rid of the commonplace physically dominant sex advice where you have to do these certain physical techniques and perform this certain physical act and you have to last this amount of time. Sex is not entirely about that. It is majority about the psychological components, and so if you work on that stuff, then your sex will improve by much more than by any stupid physical technique that you might learn on the internet. So if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. I'm doing daily videos, tons of awesome content coming out there. So thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it to the end of this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys.